I'm Eden, and this is my dad, Noah, and for almost 3 years now, we've been sitting on my bed and having a conversation about something we want to talk about. And this week, we're going to talk about the museum we went to yesterday, the Jackie Robinson Museum. And if you have any topic ideas or just some comments, you can leave them on the ratings on Apple Podcasts, because we would love to hear some topic ideas and try to talk about them.
Yeah, so we'll just go on the Apple Podcast page, the follow-up, and then we'll read the comments on the air, and maybe there'll be a topic suggestion from somebody, a question that a parent has or a kid has, or someone who wants your thoughts on anything that we'll talk about.
We would love to answer your questions also.
Mm-hmm. And I did mention that I thought maybe a topic idea, not even a topic idea, we were going to do a live demonstration on the podcast of just pulling your tooth out on the podcast.
I told you no.
So if that was someone's idea, you could still write, that was going to be my idea, and it would be a great idea, and you guys should do it. And then we would have to do it.
We wouldn't have to do it.
That tooth has been really loose. Anyway, so the Jackie Robinson Museum, we went there on Saturday. Yeah. And it hasn't been around too long. And if you live in New York City, it's really easy to get to. It is right next to the Canal Street subway stop on the one train. Like as soon as you walk out, it's actually almost like attached to the
basically subway station. So if this is the subway station, it is right here. Yeah, right just go right there.
It's right there. Anyway, so what was your biggest takeaway?
I think my biggest takeaway was that he wasn't just always focused on baseball in his career. And it wasn't also just sports. Like at UCLA, he did track, he did the long jump.
Yeah, track and field. Yeah, he did the broad jump. Yeah,
the broad jump.
He set the NCAA record, and they showed that on the floor. Feet. It was like 26 feet, 8 inches or something like that. They showed it on the floor. They had a essentially a ruler, on the floor that went all the way out.
Crazy.
To from how far 26.8 is, and that is
it's crazy.
It's crazy underneath so many of his trophies. Yeah. Oh, so what else at UCLA? Yeah, so track and field.
We did track and field, basketball, football.
Yeah.
But
unbelievable.
What I thought, he's good at all of those things. Mm-hmm. But I thought what was really stood out was, aside from all those things and baseball, he really his whole life fought for equal rights, which I thought really stood out because. It was like he wasn't with baseball. It's a big thing, but he wasn't just focused on that. His equal rights is also a big thing, and he wasn't just devoted to baseball. He was also devoted to making sure everyone had equal rights and just kind of fought for that while he was doing and tried to break barriers.
Right, so he broke
but not just for himself, for others.
For others, exactly. So he broke the color barrier in Major League Baseball with the Dodgers, and the museum itself is so not just a shrine to his baseball accomplishments.
No, not at all.
So they do have an MVP trophy. They have the Rookie of the Year trophy, which is the very first Rookie of the Year trophy. Yeah. Now it's called the Jackie Robinson Rookie of the Year. And they have his different uniforms, and they have awards. But I think it almost leans more towards a civil rights museum, how baseball played its role and how he played a role in civil rights, and also what he did after his career. I mean, he only played in the majors like 10 years or so, and he died young. He was 53. Yeah. I didn't know he and his wife Rachel had lost a son the year before that, and she's now 100 years old, and they said
running the Jackie Robinson Foundation.
Mm-hmm. And she was extremely accomplished herself.
Yeah.
So they have so a lot of it is about what he did after he stopped playing and working for Chock full of Nuts and the NAACP.
Before that, he had his own Harlem store.
Yeah,
the Jackie Robinson store.
Mm-hmm. Then he helped open a bank and. So and they have some speeches too.
He was very accomplished, but not just accomplished in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important that he had that balance in between his baseball life and playing baseball, but not just but that wasn't his whole career.
But he also knew that his baseball accomplishments would give him this larger platform to speak.
But I think it was important that he had that baseball life also included in his other.
Absolutely, because who knows what type of impact he would have made or not if he didn't have the baseball. So when he went down to that very first spring training in I think it was Daytona, Florida, and they invited Rachel to go with him. They were in California. That's where he grew up. He was born in, I think, Georgia, but then escaped essentially to California with his mom and siblings. And so what I found pretty eye-popping was that so he was delayed in his arrival at spring training. And the newspaper said weather delays his flights and his arrivals. But really,
it wasn't true.
Right, really, what? Do you remember?
It was because, so first they were on a plane, but it made emergency landings, basically, because they kept kicking him off because he was black.
Right. Twice. And then they
finally took a train.
Took a bus. It's like 16 hours, and Rachel was distraught, and then thought that Jackie wasn't doing enough. But I just it's so hard to come to grips with that and really even imagine it. But as he said, I'm only as successful as I bring up my community,
right?
And that's what his ultimate mission was.
Mm-hmm.
Similar to Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then facing all that, you made a comment. You said that I think he was. They showed his last public appearance, and I think might have been at an All-Star game, or maybe it was at a World Series, and it was on the field somewhere, and he said that he looks forward to the day where there's a black manager in Major League Baseball, and that was his last public appearance, and you said he looks really old. He was only 53. But he'd gone through so much in his career, and I said, well, that's what stress does. He said, stress makes you look older? Yeah, I mean, stress will cause you to eat differently, it'll cause you to sleep differently, it'll cause you to perform day to day differently.
When you're stressed, you don't sleep the best, and when you're really stressed and then when you don't sleep well, it just kind of like, your body goes into like a different form of your body.
And it's one thing on top of another. And he faced death threats his whole career, and he was always worried about his family. And I can't imagine living that way.
Mm-hmm.
But he did get some support from other from teammates, and it was also nice to see that he got support from Hank Greenberg, who was the great Jewish baseball player, and who had received faced anti-Semitism when he played as well. So what about how would you describe like the overall vibe of the museum, maybe compared to just other museums that you've been to?
What do you mean by it's so different from like the others? Because most of it's like art museums. Like it's just a totally different museum for me, I think.
Yeah, I mean, so we've gone to the Tenement Museum, we've gone to different art museums, we've been to Paley,
what I liked about this was that it was really nice because, where's that coming to?
What are you trying to describe?
I'll explain it a different way.
Okay.
It was really nice because, like, I liked how it wasn't just focusing on his baseball career.
Mm-hmm.
It was focusing on all the other things that he did do, and I thought it was really nice that it wasn't just that, because he had so many other big things that I think people need to know about, and that should be highlighted more.
I agree, and it's not, and it wasn't also, as someone told us, that the foundation and Rachel Robinson didn't want this to be just a shrine to Jackie Robinson, just like walk in and see all of his awards, and I liked how they had different video presentations throughout, and I thought it was very bright. The museum, white wall, is very clean, not too cluttered.
No, not at all.
You didn't feel overwhelmed, like whoa, I have so much to go through here. You could spend a lot of time on certain things. You could move through other areas.
And it was if you don't know much about him, or if you do, I would still go there. because you're gonna learn something new.
Yeah, that's for sure, and I'd say probably be inspired as well.
I would definitely recommend going there.
Mm-hmm.
How long were we in there for?
About probably close to 2 hours, hour and a half, 2 hours.
I don't know. Like if you just need like afternoon activity.
Yeah.
I would go.
Yeah, and I think it's a different way to learn and to see the civil rights movement also.
I would
Yeah,
agree.
because there are certain things in there that we've learned about in school. There's the Emmett Till story. There's Rosa Parks. There are some monumental moments from the civil rights movement just weaved into Jackie and Rachel Robinson's story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a good way to spend the afternoon.
Okay.
And there's a scavenger hunt
Oh yeah.
for kids. You want to explain that?
Sure.
Instead of just looking at me?
Anyway, so they would give you hints, like kind of actually not hints.
Well, they would give you hints.
Sorry, the paper.
You walked in and
Paper had hints on it, but more or less like sentence starters, kind of like
clues.
clues. Sorry, clues, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I just said. The paper will give you clues, like Jackie worked at Chock-full Nuts, started a bank, but he tried his hand in retail first. What was his Harlem store called? Or like
The
something.
Jackie Robinson store.
Correct. And you would kind of explore the museum and try to find those answers. But I thought it was a cool way to, because I feel like writing it down there made me remember it more.
Yeah, sure. It goes back to our handwriting conversation from last week. Yes, and also it's interactive. It keeps you interested.
Yeah.
One of the things that was interesting was the Rachel Robinson being so accomplished, and three of the things that she accomplished professionally.
She was a nurse. She started the Jackie Robinson Foundation, and she was actually a professor.
Yeah, she was a nursing professor at Yale. Yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah, I did too.
I highly recommend it. All right, glad you had fun. Thank you.
Okay.